for this week's topic, episode 28. Wow, can you believe we almost did 30 of these things?
I know, right?
That's that is an accomplishment between the two of
It is. It
us.
is. To have our
uh,
schedules coincide. Yeah.
right,
Yeah.
to be able to do them as much as we did. So the topic of this week is going to be the nature of reality, perception versus existence, and all that good jazz. Interesting, uh, complex
hmm
topic,
I think it's
especially, yeah,
fascinating. I think it's
is
fascinating.
yeah, especially now with the shift in reality that people are experiencing, the awakening of the collective, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Um, there's more questions than ever about riddle me this, Batman. How does this all work out?
Yeah. Yes.
Explain yourself. Um, what is your what's your take on perception versus reality?
I think that this topic kind of it delves into very fundamental questions about what is truly real, you know,
Mm,
and our perceptions and how they shape our understanding of the world around us. And because I'm a bit of a nerd, I think that there's some philosophical implications there as well,
mm-hmm,
you
mm-hmm,
know, that will assist us in distinguishing between um, the appearance and what is real, you know.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
Um, I think it kind of folds back into the out well, the allegory. I'm sorry, I'm trying to get my brain to
mm-hmm.
coincide with my words. The allegory of Plato's cave. I don't know if you know that one. The one
I
with
don't
the
think not
prisoners.
a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, just imagine there are prisoners who are changed since birth in this really dimly lit cave, and all they can see are the shadows that are cast on the wall by objects that are passing in front of the fire behind them. Okay.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So these shadows are the only reality that they have ever known.
mm-hmm,
So when a one of the prisoners is finally freed and they step outside into the sunlight, they are initially blinded, you know, and their eyes are starting to adjust and they begin to see much, much richer uh, colors and life and textures. The shadows on the wall, they believed to be the entirety of their existence. And
mm,
now it has been revealed to this person, you know, that was just a reflection of a much deeper, more complex reality.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
So I think it really prompts, I mean, just that allegory, it prompts us to consider how much of what we perceive as merely just shadows on the wall of our own cave. You
right,
know,
right.
our senses provide us with a wealth of information about the world, but they're also very limited. They can
Mm-hmm,
be deceived, they can be misinterpreted, they simply are incapable of detecting certain aspects of reality. There's even philosophers like Immanuel Kant, I'm sorry, who have argued that while we can't really know the world as it appears to us, the thing in of itself, the world as it exists independently of our perception is unknowable. So, in other words, your world is not going to be the same as mine, right?
mm-hmm,
It's just not. We're
mm-hmm,
going to see things differently.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it's that's very interesting when you take a look at too, even just in your own path of ascension and awakening, how your sense of reality shifts
Yeah.
through the course of it, right? And I feel like that's something that is kind of being presented to the collective and to, souls that are sensitive to energy, of moving that and really, even just in my own experience of alignment and reflecting back on noticing how dense your perception of existence was then versus how you look at it now, walking your own, your own
Yeah.
individual paths.
Yeah.
Um, and what really kind of makes me question and kind of fall down this path, this great conversation with your team, um, is even just knowing that nothing in this realm is real,
Yeah.
really.
Yeah. I,
It's
I,
all, yeah.
I agree. I 100% agree. I think that it can, if you embrace this, it can actually lead to a deeper appreciation of
Hmm.
the mystery and the complexity of our existence, you know?
Hmm. Yeah, I do. I agree with that. I feel like through the process of like sitting with that idea that nothing is essentially real, everything is a matter of energy and everything is a matter of creation on what you perceive.
Hmm.
And, you know, I feel like for those that are at this point in their journey where their realities are really starting to shift, as we like to call like the great awakening, and the veil is thinning, the veil is no more kind of thing, because that's what's happening. And you're hit with coming to terms with what you perceive as your reality
Right.
and questioning all of the things that you have known to be true thus far.
Hmm.
And now you're presented with this new path or this new awareness. And I feel like that can really like throw people off. Like that can really like mess with someone's head when you're presented with this opportunity, as I like to call it,
Yeah.
of expansion.
Yeah. I think that uh, we as a people have to embrace that reality is not fixed. It is
Hmm.
not, this is it for forevermore. It is an external entity. It is this dynamic interplay between the world and our own understanding of it, you
Hmm.
know? Um, a popular, I think anyways, I don't know if you remember this. I remember my whole family arguing over it, but do you remember when there was this dress on social media and some people saw it one color?
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
know
The
what I
gold
mean?
blue thing.
Like,
Like, what do you see?
yeah, I think that's
Hmm.
like a perfect example, right?
Hmm.
And there were so many people that were like getting angry of like, no, it's not. And,
It
it's
was
like,
causing a lot of conflict within
it
within
was
groups.
so ridiculous. And even
Yeah.
people in my own family under the same roof were seeing things completely different. And, I was observing, they all have the same phone, they all have the same screen, they all have, this is just through the lens of their perception. And your
Hmm.
perception is correct and it
Hmm.
is right to you. And your perception is correct and right to you. There is no right or wrong. It is how you
Right.
perceive it. And you can both
Hmm.
be right through those filters. So I found that to be a perfect example, anyways, of this
Yeah.
topic, you know?
Oh, yeah. I remember that, and it was caused quite a stir of who's right, who's wrong, what is the real answer? And there is no real answer. It is based off what you perceive, what your reality shows you. I like to I liken it to thinking of like a video game. Your each of your individual paths is your own little video game, and you can adjust it. Like, I don't know if your kids got into this, but like Minecraft, like you
Oh
create your
yeah, my
world.
son, he was
You
really,
create
yeah.
your world, you get to do whatever you want and make it how you want. Well, that is essentially your existence as well. It's off your belief system and you make it how you want it. And I think maybe I'm a little weird for this, but when I'm in public, sometimes I sit back and look at just observing people, and I think, wow, how fascinating would it be to experience and know how each, I mean, it could be a room full of 100 people, and
Right.
there's 100 different experiences, 100 different perceptions of the world and belief systems behind it. You know, isn't that so fascinating to think about? I don't know, maybe I'm a
Yeah.
little off and a little
No,
weird about
I,
that, but
no,
I,
I
I think
completely
that
agree.
it is, you have, and when we find this in relationships too, this is why even in the same set of basis for like arguments or conversations, you have the same set of tools, but everybody has their own view of how it is, what they think, what they perceive from each one, you know.
Mhm.
And you're never, I think that's the beauty of the world. We're never going to come on to the same page 100%.
I think it would be rather boring and
That would be,
monotonous.
yeah. Like
Yeah,
why would that, what good would that do? There's no progress from that. Because we're meant to
right.
prod each other and push forward this forward thinking thoughts and, growth, really.
Yeah.
Um, yeah,
I think it would
it's
be so boring. Yes, 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 yes. I agree. I agree. That would be so boring in my mind.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I wouldn't be
So,
on this rock if it was that way.
yeah. What would be a good example to illustrate this concept to you? What would be a good example in your mind?
Well, I feel like when I talk about this, I use that example of the people that are, you're just walking around and you're just observing individuals, and allow yourself to just rethink, what are they perceiving in this reality? What does their reality look like? And when I talk about this to individuals, I kind of use the thing of, you're standing at the crosswalk and you're both staring at the same signs, but how you're taking in the signs and scenery is not going to be the same as the person standing next to you. And for some people, I feel like, at least for myself included in this, it took me a little bit to sit with this and think about it and talk with my team about it. And, I love the riddle me this, Batman. How does this all play out? Explain how this works. And, you know, I feel like this folds into even just going into like power of manifestation and co-creating the life that you want.
Sure.
um, it takes some time to go through and have that, sit with that and let that fold over. Because if you're anything like me, um, listening to this or watching us, somebody feeds you information, you're not just gonna be like, okay, yeah, sure, that's how it is from now on.
Yeah.
I'm like, no, how does that work? Um, but it is such a fascinating topic to explore.
Yeah. I think social media platforms are
Yeah.
perfect example because I feel
Mm-hmm.
like people often present this idealized version of their lives. They're like
Mm-hmm.
showcasing success and happiness and adventures. And I believe that portrayal can create a perception that everybody else is living a perfect life, leading to feelings
Mm-hmm.
like inadequacy or jealousy of other people's
Right, right.
lives. But the reality, right, is that every single human being faces challenges and struggles. They may not
Mm-hmm.
be visible online. Um, and I think the difference between this curated online persona and the complexity of the reality of this human experience is a stark example of our perception versus reality. That
Mm-hmm.
that I see that off way too much, way too much. Uh,
Oh yeah.
Mostly on Instagram, if I'm being honest.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's the it's like putting your best foot forward at all times, right? So
Sure.
you're not, you, you don't really find a lot of individuals who post just the behind the scenes and the real stuff of what it really takes, right? Like the Instagram, I like the ones that Instagram versus reality, where they show you like the Instagram
Oh,
post and then
yes.
like the
Yeah.
reality of it, what it really
Yeah.
looks like. And I
Yeah.
feel like too, it's also just how we measure our success, measurement of success based off what we see, only what we preview of others. And actually a good point now that a good point of a topic I was having with a group of people, um, it was in the concept of relationships, and there was an actual really good valid point that was made of you never know what's going on behind closed doors,
Yeah.
because in the front of it you look, oh, they're happy and they're so put together, they've been
Mhm.
together for so long, and and yeah, you don't know what's really going on behind the scenes, like social media.
I agree.
And we as a society tend to look
If
at
that camera just shifts a little bit,
it just
you
a
see
little bit
a
of
house destroyed, you know.
exactly, and we look at where other people are in life only from what we are just perceiving, just the
Sure.
limited sight,
Yeah.
but you don't know really what's going, the nature of their existence behind the scenes. And
Right.
we measure our success on that, and that, I
Yeah.
think that's bullshit.
I think they're okay. So I'm a nerd. I'm self-professed nerd.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were talking about this, and I was kind of like brainstorming of what I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to address, there is this psychological phenomenon that occurs, and it is called the Dunning-Kruger effect. And I'm telling you, this is so fantastic as an example. It is a
Mm-hmm.
prime example of perception versus reality in the realm of self-assessment and competence. So I
Mm-hmm.
thought that this would help for a lot of viewers.
Yeah.
The Dunning-Kruger effect, it actually describes how people with limited knowledge or skill in a particular area, they overestimate their competence. It's scientifically proven, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
People who have more expertise, they actually underestimate it. So there is this
Mm-hmm.
discrepancy between individuals' perceived abilities and actually what their ability highlights.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
there is this perception that is significantly at odds with the reality. So I thought
Mm-hmm.
that was a really good example too. I know it's nerdy, but it's pretty well known now.
Yeah. No, I think that's a great point too, especially when we talk about, you know, and we've had conversations about this of really the need for the collective and that push for practitioners to step out and do that. And you find a lot of, at least I've seen a lot of practitioners who undervalue their self and what they bring to the table. And
Yes.
actually,
Yeah.
it's so profound when they express that and they open that up versus the ones who, I just like to say, blow a lot of smoke. So, and you think, gosh, you should be doing that. That's a great example of how, if you're feeling that call and you're sitting there thinking, well, what do I have to say? It's not going to mean anything. Or, who am I? Just uh, this little nobody, normal Joe Schmo person. But, you know, don't discount yourself in that way,
Yeah.
because the ripple effect like is super important.
Yeah. It is.
Yeah.
It is. There's another nerdy one,
Mm-hmm.
but it's very thought provoking.
Mm-hmm.
It at least in my little brained. So it comes from the realm of optical illusions.
Mhm,
It's from Rubens vase. You guys can look this up, Google it. It's
mhm,
fascinating. And essentially what it is you can look at this vase, and you can see either a vase or two faces in a profile, depending on your perception. So it actually illustrates the idea that our mental state will significantly influence how we interpret sensory information.
mhm,
So it's suggesting that what we perceive is not always a direct reflection of reality. The metaphysical interpretation is that reality exists in a state of superstition with multiple potentialities. And it's our perception that collapses those potentialities into the reality we experience.
it's like choosing your uh the multitude of options in your life, and you're choosing your timeline, you're
Yeah,
choosing what you want to experience, and
yeah,
everything that you think, as even as a thought, is
sure.
already a possibility in
Right.
existence. You
So
just have to choose it.
exactly. So let's use the social media thing. If I'm in a good mood,
Mhm.
right? And let's say my house is clean and tidy, and I'm watching somebody else who has a clean and tidy home and they're doing a restock video. I am not going to be triggered. I am not going to think that there's, oh, woe is me. Why can't I be like that? Because my mood isn't going to reflect that. But if
Mhm.
I'm in an environment where I feel overwhelmed and I feel like I can't stay on top of things and my home isn't tidy or whatever, and I look at that, I'm going to go directly into the woe is me. What is wrong with me? Why can't I be that? Why am I lacking or without? And
Mhm.
your mentality has a direct reflection on how you perceive information, you know?
Yeah, that
And I
is
think
true.
that's important.
Mhm. Because it does, I mean, like, even with that example, looking at a restock video, or yeah, especially like those restock videos, if you are in that lax state or not in that heightened mood, um, all you do is look at that and pass judgment harshly on yourself, even the person that's doing it, but you have the ability to create your reality however you want to create your reality. I think
Yeah,
it's that limiting belief system that we carry, or society has programmed us to believe. Um, and it's and then social media just kind of like added on to that.
yeah,
It's
yeah,
great, but like everything,
yeah.
social media is great, it's useful, it's a good tool, but at the same time, you have to take it with a grain of salt with the things that you see or
And you shouldn't subject
experience.
yourself to it if you're
Yeah.
already in a state of
Mhm.
emotional or mental health that you already feel that you're lacking or you are without, you
Mhm.
know? I think that's super, super important.
Mhm.
Quantum mechanics, another nerdy one. Uh, at a quantum level, there are these particles that exist in multiple states all at one time. It's called the superposition. However,
Mhm.
when you are observing them, they appear to choose one single state. So the act of perception alters that state of existence. So it illustrates this complex relationship between the observer and the observed. I
Mm.
think that that's something too that we
Mhm.
should consider. I really, really do. And I know it's super nerdy, but I encourage you guys, Google, look this stuff up because I think it will assist you in understanding how, if I'm in a good mood all day long, I'm going to see good things. I'm going to feel
Mhm.
so blessed because I am in a good mood. And adversely, flip that coin. If I'm in a bad mood, I'm going to feel like the whole world's against me. I'm going to look at all
Oh,
the
sure,
bad
yeah.
things that are in that day, you know?
Yeah. That's all you're
So,
gonna see and experience, because look at when just even like um the simple example of when people say, "Oh, I had such a bad day."
yeah,
Did you have a bad day or did you have a bad 15 minutes?
yeah,
You
that's my
know?
line. Did you have a bad moment? That's what I
Oh,
say.
moment,
That's my
yeah.
line.
Yeah.
Bad moment,
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
totally
But
different.
you take it because again, you had a bad moment, you had a bad little
Yeah,
15 minutes, and you just ran with that instead of taking that pause and kind of resetting yourself. This is something I have trained my kids or taught my kids. When you're having that effect, you have to take a step back and reset yourself.
you do. You do.
Otherwise, it's just going to, the universe is going to continue to show you examples of the state that you're in. So if you're not in that heightened state or more balanced state, you're just going to get examples of that
Yeah.
until you choose to change it.
So consider what optical illusions are in your life.
Mm-hmm.
Consider that. Um, you know, sorry, but this just came to me as well. There's this thing called phantom limb syndrome. Have you heard of that?
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We
Yeah.
actually, I was just having a conversation about that.
Were you?
Like I think it was last week. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's amputees that sometimes perceive sensations
Mm-hmm.
or even pain in their limbs that no longer
Yep.
exist. And I believe that this phenomenon highlights the discrepancy between our neurological signals, our perception, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the
Mm-hmm.
physical reality, our existence. That's a perfect example. That's a
Yeah.
perfect example, you
Yeah.
know?
That's a really good one. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, or even economic bubbles in financial markets, the perceived value of an asset
Mm-hmm.
might greatly exceed its value, leading to this bubble. So when the
Mm-hmm.
bubble bursts, the discrepancy between the perception and the existence that can become painfully apparent with
Well,
significant financial loss. But that's also,
yeah.
again, how we are perceiving and what the reality is.
Well, if you look at just like the housing market, how it's at one point it can be your house is worth $500,000, and
Sure.
then next thing you know, now your house has dropped down to $300,000, and you're like,
Yeah.
nothing changed outside of these walls, this property, or anything like that. But again, and look at what happened when you're talking about the bubble in, what was it, 2008, when everything exploded. There was it the recession when the housing market was climbing, 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 growing, growing, and then it burst and everything went down from there.
Yeah.
Perception and reality.
I was trying to think. I believe that was like in 2009, wasn't it? Or to 8 or something
It
like
was
that.
8 or 9 or something around
Yeah,
that
it was
time
it was
frame.
one of
Yeah.
those that it was
Mm-hmm.
crazy. That was a crazy time for everyone,
Mm-hmm.
you know? And
Yeah.
I think considering the climate of the world, the political climate, the spiritual climate, the human climate. Okay, can
Mm-hmm.
we do all that? The climate of the world. Um, there's a lot of things that are requiring our personal discernment.
Mm-hmm.
So don't be afraid to say, I disagree. I'm not on the same page as you. I am seeing through the filter of my own life experiences, and this is what I perceive to be true for me. I
Mm-hmm.
think discernment is necessary in this time, in this
Right.
juncture of life. I think it's a definite requirement.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I kind of said this a little bit earlier, but This topic, if you truly explore it, it delves into how our senses, our thoughts, our experiences shape our understanding of the world.
Mhm.
You know, is it contrasting with an objective reality that exists independently of our perceptions? Is it doing that? Ask yourself those questions.
Oh, yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
I am the first one to say, and Chris, I know you'll agree with that. I'm the first one to say is like, nope, not on board with that. I have no problem saying I do not agree, or my perception is totally different. Get comfortable with your own perception, whatever it may be, because, honey, that's your reality. It doesn't have to
Mhm.
be Chris's or mine or the guy down the street. It is your reality.
Mhm.
You know, regardless if somebody else believes it is a mirage to you, does not matter. Congratulations, it's your reality,
Mhm.
right?
Oh, yeah. I think
So,
discernment and openness, you know, I feel like this is a very prominent time in humanity, in the collective, to
mhm,
really tune into, and again with discernment, and look at what your belief system is, what your reality is showing. Um and I feel like it's also like a great time to ask questions.
yeah,
Keep your mind open, ask the questions, because it's deepening your understanding. And again, I feel like, I know people that know me, or clients and students that know me, I have I am literally a broken record about this. We are shifting in each individual reality, each individual
yep,
path is shifting.
yep,
And you have to make the choice what is going to be your reality. Like you said, it's not going to be mine, it's not going to be yours, it's not going to be every neighbor that you have in your neighborhood. It's going to be yours to own and solely own. So
yes,
why wouldn't you use your discernment? Why wouldn't you question things that are coming up for you, or, whatever, and figure out how you feel about it and what you really think about it? Because it's
yep,
only going to shape you.
yeah,
Ain't going to bother me.
yeah, exactly.
So, yeah,
I
it's
I think if you really start to delve into this, right,
mhm.
it is trying to get you to answer the fundamental metaphysical question: is reality an objective truth waiting to be discovered?
Mhm.
Or adversely, is it just a construct of your own perception? I think if you explore that question, it will reveal to you profound and even surprising ways in which perception and reality are actually intertwined, challenging
Mhm.
you to consider how much of what you take to be true is actually just a filter through the lens of your subjective experience.
Mhm.
You know, that's my strong belief. I
Yeah.
really want our viewers to explore this. Um, and I think this falls under the umbrella of, we all are one. I accept you for your beliefs. I accept my beliefs. I
Mhm.
don't follow the leader and jump on your bandwagon, but we can both have different perceptions and beliefs and still embrace them. I can
Oh,
still
yeah.
embrace your beliefs without agreeing that they are, for me, the same truth,
Right, right.
and that's why I think this is so important.
Oh, yeah. It's it's how we coexist at the end of the day. We all share the same space. We're not experiencing the same things, but
Sure.
that's okay. That's the beauty of existence. That's why we're here, to have these experiences and to coexist and reflect off one another, I feel like it's encouraging expansion and awareness, with
Yeah.
everyone. And I think this is a fantastic topic, and to start questioning within yourself, what are you perceiving as your reality?
Yeah. Yeah.
And I
I
feel like that's with power of choice too, with so many people. I don't know if you've experienced this or have crossed this path with individuals. It seems to be the theme lately of a lot of individuals questioning their existence in the way that it is currently right now.
oh yeah, I've heard it a hundred
Yeah,
times. Is this, am I a Sims? You know,
right.
is this for realsies? You know, yeah,
Yeah.
I've heard it. I've heard it. I think that this is a great topic to explore, whether you're trying to interpret social cues, assessing your own abilities, navigating the digital world, or even recognizing the difference between perception and reality. It can lead to a much more accurate understanding, and it will also lead to healthier
Hmm.
interactions. I think
Oh,
this is a
yes.
very intriguing dance between a perception and reality. It has,
Yeah.
it's very intriguing to me, for sure.
I feel like with exploring this topic, and I can only speak for myself and in my personal experience, but exploring this topic has really brought me into a deeper understanding of oneness
Mhm.
within the collective, and how we interact and what we experience and what we perceive, um, in your life. So I'm super fascinated by this topic. I'm still till this day talking about the concept, like the complexity of this topic. And really, I'm with you. I encourage everyone to explore it and
Mhm.
question all the stuff that's coming up for you, and allow yourself to just be open and explore, see where
Yeah,
you end up.
yeah. It's all about your perception. You know, another one too is Schrodinger's cat. In quantum mechanics, there's like this modern twist to the discussion of perception and versus reality. It's a thought experiment about a cat, actually.
Hmm.
If this cat is in the box and you haven't looked at the box, is the cat dead or alive? You know, its fate is just this blur of probabilities.
Hmm.
There is this paradox that highlights the role of the observer in determining the reality, which is also suggesting that reality at its fundamental level is indeterminate of our perceptions, and it plays this crucial role in shaping it. It really does. How are you looking at your world?
Hmm.
If you are in this high anxiety, negative mindset, do not expect to see joy and happiness around you, you know?
Hmm.
Um, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry. I know I
Oh
just kind of
no,
went off. It keeps
you're
popping
good.
in my head.
I'm
I
here
just
for
keep getting these
it.
filters of weird stuff that's just popping in. Sorry.
I am here for it. And I feel like even too, that's even touching into like when you're doing shadow work, the
Yeah.
lens that you're viewing it through,
Mm-hmm.
again. And I know, and I've experienced and I've seen the shift in the lens that you view your world when even just doing your shadow work, and where you start from and then where you end up. And it's amazing to see the difference in how your concept of your reality starts to shift just by addressing those parts.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
it is the lens that you look through your life at. So what kind of glasses are you wearing when you're
Exactly.
looking through that?
Yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
with shadow work, if you have anxiety, you're going to perceive a situation as threatening or overwhelming.
Mm-hmm.
But in reality, the threat doesn't exist, right? But it's
Yep.
perceived. So if
Mm-hmm.
it's perceived, does it in fact exist? It does to the observer,
Right.
you know?
Yeah.
So yeah, it's such an interesting topic. I'm sorry, I'm such a geek. I could just go about this.
But I think I like listening to you talk about this stuff because in my brain it always just goes to like relating it to like real life experience
Yeah, yeah,
and how it applies even with, you know, the cave experience and seeing the shadows and just like yeah, it's the limiting lens that you have on at that time.
yeah,
But if you allow yourself to explore these topics and sit with it, ruminate on it, ask the questions, notice how your view changes. I mean,
for sure.
even down to like colors of trees.
Yeah, yeah,
notice how
yeah,
notice how that shifts for you through this process. And
yeah.
then of course addressing your shadow through the course of it um, drastically changes your view on life and your belief system, limiting belief system and where you stand, you know?
I think you
Um,
made an excellent point because I've heard a lot of people who have depression, they always say that the world feels and looks very muted to them.
mhm,
So I think that is an important aspect to touch on and say, you know, pay attention to these nuances that occur within your senses. So you
mhm.
can see that shift that has taken place within you and how you're going to, you know, see through the lens of your filter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've heard that. I've heard that a few times with working with individuals through shadow work and through navigating their alignment of wow, even the trees look different.
Yeah.
Even the air looks different. The clouds I look different, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you're no longer looking through that muted lens or, you know, just that woe is me lens or the world is against you, things are always happening to you, stuff like that.
Yeah.
You come into ownership of your existence and your reality. And
Absolutely.
then you can get into the manifestation and then all the fun, you know, all
Yeah.
the fun stuff after that. But, you know, I do challenge every reader, every viewer and listener, take note of how like you perceive and what the world looks like around you. And then embark on your shadow work, do all your stuff and see how it changes.
Yeah. And we are constantly sending messages out to the universe, manifesting what we want in the future. We
Mm-hmm.
are magnetic beings. If you're viewing through the filter of anxiety, I hate to keep picking on anxiety
Yeah.
for emotion today, but if we're, you know, if you're feeling anxiety, if you are feeling tension, if you are feeling helplessness, and your thoughts are going to reflect that, and then you're manifesting more of that, so it comes
Mm-hmm.
into your reality because the universe is always going to give you what you think about. So if that's coming to you, you know, change your thought process. What you
Right.
perceive, you believe, and that becomes your reality. I cannot say it enough.
Oh, yes. The
So
universe will never tell you no.
yeah,
The
never,
universe will
never.
always agree with everything you put
Yes,
out, will
yes,
never tell you no. So
yeah,
whatever that is going to be a yes,
yeah. It
you
will
know?
be. It will be for
So
sure.
keep that in mind.
This was super fun. I
Yes.
love today's. Yeah, this was fun.
I like, I love prodding this in people. And I feel like this is a good one for to sit back and explore and kind of see where you're at now in your journey, wherever that is,
Hmm.
and apply some of these things. Look up some of the stuff that Charlie mentioned in studies and let your mind just wander off.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I did. I'm not super sciencey like Charlie, but
Nerdy.
I take all the stuff that she says and I just like let it run and sit and think about it and question all of those things
Yeah.
and see where you end up, you know, and how it applies to your life experience
Mhm.
and the lenses that you still hold on to it's very, very thought-provoking
Yeah.
and opens fantastic doors
Yeah.
in your own ascension and connection with spirit.
Yeah.
So,
I
yeah.
mean, you can do it with anything. Anything. I've
Mm-hmm.
seen my daughter look at artwork and bawl and cry for
Mm-hmm.
cancer. She was just born into that emotion. And I'm looking at the same piece of artwork and I'm like, oh my God, I love the colors. It's so vibrant and happy and cheery, you know? So
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
it's really just look at how you are perceiving things.
Right.
Look
That's
at
why I
it.
like going to art gallery. I like going to museums. See, I'm nerdy in the old-timey way. I love going to historical sites and art
Yeah,
galleries and
yeah,
things like museums, I'm nerdy in that kind of way.
yeah,
And it is going to a gallery. We're
yeah,
staring at the same piece of art, but
yeah.
what you're taking away from it is not what I'm going to take away from
Oh,
it.
exactly.
You know?
Exactly.
Looking at the sculpture and how you're perceiving that sculpture versus how the person you're with.
Yeah.
I know people don't really like going to galleries with me. I
I
stand there and stare.
do.
Oh, excuse me. I
I
stand
do.
there and stare, or historical sites, and just like, wow, imagine, yeah, I get really nerdy about that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
And usually some people I go with, they're like, okay, let's go. I've seen enough. I'm like, no, but you don't understand. And they're like,
Yep.
no, we're done.
Yeah. My youngest
But
daughter would rather eat nails than attend. Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I know those. I have some of those in my household too that are like,
Yeah.
yeah, no. But yeah, I think this is it's a great topic, a great opening for provoking thought processes and kind of getting that ball rolling for people. So I encourage everyone, take all of it in and really sit and explore this, see how it applies to your life and the potential that you hold.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Absolutely.
cool.
Cool.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us and sitting and chatting and listening to us. And I hope you found this, I know we hope you found this helpful and it resonates, or if you know someone who this would resonate with as well, we appreciate the energetic exchange of liking, sharing, and commenting on anything or leaving questions or experiences. Other than that, we'll see you next time.
Next time.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Bye bye.